All right, everybody can hear me? All right, we're just going to get started. Welcome to the League of Women Voters. Let me start again. Welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum for the contested Republican races in the U.S. Congressional 11th District and the Illinois State Senate 33rd District. The U.S. Congressional 14th District candidates were invited here tonight. One candidate did not respond, and the other declined our invitation. I'm Kelly Rotella, and I serve on the Voter Services Committee for the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. First, I'd like to thank Batavia City Hall for always opening its doors to us and supporting our mission to educate voters in this election. This forum tonight is designed specifically to focus on contested races. I'd like to take a moment to explain our empty chair policy, which ensures that we do not hold forums where only one candidate is present. In cases where only one candidate is participating, that candidate is offered the opportunity to make a brief introductory statement of up to 3 minutes. All candidates present this evening have signed and agreed to that format, or to the format and media policies established by the League of Women Voters. We have proactively gathered questions from our community and are also welcoming questions from tonight's audience. Please look for our volunteers who are circulating with note cards. All questions will be reviewed by trained League members for clarity and relevance. Due to time constraints, we may not be able to address every question, so we encourage you to reach out directly to the candidates if your question is not asked. Tonight's event is being live streamed and recorded by Audrey Karff from our local Batavia cable access television station, BATV. The recording will be shared on the websites of the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County and BATV. Our moderator tonight is Barbara Lymans. Let's get started. Thank you, Moderator Lymans.
Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly stated, the goal of the League of Women Voters is to hold forums in contested races so voters can make an informed choice. All Republican candidates for the Illinois Senate District 33 were invited to participate in a forum tonight. We believe that it is important to offer every candidate the opportunity to share their vision with the community. We're disappointed the Republican candidate, Jessica Brueggelmans, indicated she was unable to attend. But therefore, per policy of the League of Women Voters, we are providing Republican candidate Danielle Penman 3 minutes to speak so you can hear directly from her, her goals, and her platforms. Candidate Penman, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to start out by saying thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to introduce myself to voters in District 33 and around the state. My name is Danielle Penman, and I am the Republican candidate for state senator in the 33rd District. I'm a wife, mother, and a nurse. I was born and raised in Chicago, and 23 years ago, I'm pleased to say that I moved out to St. Charles, and that's where I call my home now. I've raised my family in the Fox Valley. We've built our lives, and we're very proud to be in that community. I've been a nurse for 28 years. I've sat at the bedside with patients in moments of fear and heartbreak, advocating for families who felt unheard. And I've led healthcare professionals during some very critical and difficult times. That experience has taught me something important. When people are hurting, they don't need politics, they need leadership. And right now, voters in Illinois are looking for leadership. That is why I'm running. Illinois families are struggling with high costs of living. Everywhere I go, I hear voters saying that it's very expensive to live here and that the cost of living is making them consider moving out of the state. We're losing residents because they can't afford to stay here anymore, and that's a problem. As your senator, I will focus on lowering taxes and demanding fiscal responsibility. That means reducing unfunded mandates and conducting thorough audits of all of our state programs and our departments, because we need to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. Before we ask taxpayers for any more money, state government must prove it's spending wisely. Illinois should be a state where people want to move to, not that they feel they have to move out of our state. Public safety is another concern. I strongly support law enforcement and those who serve our community. Safe neighborhoods are the foundation for strong schools and thriving businesses. Repeat violent offenders should not be released back into our neighborhoods and should be held accountable. Therefore, I will repeal the Safety Act if elected. Public safety should be a partisan problem, and it should be a party problem that is a priority in our neighborhoods. Education also matters deeply to me. Every child in Illinois deserves a high-quality education and the opportunity to succeed. I support school choice and expanded career pathways, including skilled trades and apprenticeships. Success does not look the same for every student, and our education system should be reflective of that. Finally, healthcare reform is urgently needed. Access is declining while cost is rising. Hospitals are closing, services are shrinking, and families are having to travel farther for care.
I want to ask if you could bring your comments to a close. Your time has elapsed.
My campaign is about people, families trying to afford groceries and property taxes, parents who want safe neighborhoods, and seniors who need access to care. I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to lead, and I'm ready to serve, and I humbly ask for your vote and your support. You can look me up at daniellepenman.com for more information, and I welcome the opportunity to serve District 33. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that. And I invite the candidates for the Congressional 11th District to come forward.
Guess I should be last. Very nice.
Man, this Shelby guy hasn't made it. I tell you, you don't have this fancy stuff in Elburn.
Okay. I'd like to welcome you to the Candidate Forum for the Illinois 11th Congressional District, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County. My name is Barb Lymans, a member of the Wheaton League of Women Voters, and your moderator for this evening. I live in West Chicago, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forum tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. All candidates were invited tonight, but regrettably, candidate Charles Kim is unable to attend. The Republican candidates for the 11th Congressional District with us tonight are candidate Tedora Brown, candidate Michael Pierce, and candidate Jeff Walter. The format for the forum is not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, opposing candidates to fact-check statements by candidates if necessary. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned the ground rules by the deadline established in the invitation. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum, such as candidates will restrict their answers to the questions posed by me, the moderator, and not what any other candidate may or may not have done. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with their 2-minute opening statements. They will then alternate in the order in which they answer questions for 2 minutes. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 2-minute closing statement, continuing our alternating pattern. A member of the league will act as timer, and I will enforce the time limits. Candidate, you will see a signal from the timers when you have 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then stop. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. To ensure that the questions for tonight's forum represents a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters have reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. For those of you in attendance today, we request that you do not take photos or video during the forum. It is a distraction to the other members of the audience and to the candidates. Please listen attentively, turn off your phones and electronic devices, avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end of the forum. Finally, I want to say how appreciative we are of the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who have agreed to be here tonight to share their ideas and goals. So thank you. So let us get started. Candidate Brown, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Tadora Brown, and I am, of course, running for Congressional District 11 to serve the people of Illinois. I've been in the 11th District for 18 years, for some people who are trying to figure out exactly who I am. I have brought my family here, and we've been here for that period of time. My goal is a community builder. I actually opened up 2 companies in the 11th District. The 11th District raised me, matured me, and actually brought me to who I am today. One of my very first Montessori schools, Napier Montessori Academy, is actually in the 11th District as well. I am here today to let you guys know that I am a fighter and I'm willing to serve the people. We have to bring it back to we the people. And as we do that, as together, bringing one nation under God, using biblical principles. Now, I can say one thing. I can be bought, but I can definitely be taught. There's so many solutions that we do not have when we're going on the federal level. And that's why we need you. We need everyone in this room and more people to understand that it will take a village in order for us to get to where we need. Our president needs us. Our country needs us. Again, my name is Tadora Brown. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here speaking with you all tonight. A little bit about me and why I'm running. I grew up in this area, went to grade school and junior high school in Elgin. I have family roots that actually go back to here in Batavia, so all across here on my dad's side. And so coming into Batavia, this is a beautiful building, and I've been here several times. This is a really wonderful city, and the things around it are one of the reasons why I'm running, is because we have a wonderful way of life here in Illinois. Illinois has changed a lot. You know, when I was a kid, I was delivering newspapers in Elgin, and, I remember the bicentennial there, and I was so much fervent spirit in the air and everything else, and it was like wonderful. And then I see we're coming up on our 250th anniversary this year, and it seems so much of that spirit is gone. And I think part of it is because the highly partisan tone that's evolved around our politics, and also just some of the common sense that needs to be there. So I grew up here. I went in the Army for 20 years. I served overseas for five tours, a couple of combat tours, one of them 15 months in Iraq. I've worked in the civilian world. I've been a director of operations for a company. I have 4 kids, 3 grandchildren. I got a 4th on the way. So I'm a father. I'm a son. My dad was a veteran. My stepdad was a veteran. I've done work on behalf of veterans and rest of the community in many ways, from job fairs to serving as a post commander in the American Legion, a lot of different things. But the most important thing is this is all about service. service to our country, service to our community, and service to the people right around here. I want to make jobs back in Illinois, lower our taxes, and lower the cost of living. And so I just ask you to take a look at me, Mike Pierce. I'm running for Congress in the 11th District. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Walters, your 2-minute opening statement.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Walter, also running for the 11th District. I'm the current mayor of Elburn. I'm in my 3rd term. Last 2 terms I ran unopposed. Right out of high school, I joined the Navy. I spent 9 years on active duty and did 13 in the reserve after that. Excuse me. As a Spanish and German linguist. After I got out, I went to school, went to work. I spent the first part of my career in manufacturing, in small job shop manufacturing. And after that, I went to the big league manufacturing at General Motors. And then midway through that, I made a career change into the IT world and recently retired from Accenture, where I was working in the Gen AI space. As a mayor, I'm expected to provide certain services to the residents of Elburn. They want clean water. They want to be able to flush their toilets and have it go somewhere. They want the roads plowed, the roads in good shape. Good evening, Mayor Schilke. Welcome. Glad to be in your building tonight, and I'm using my time, but I'm still going to welcome you. The common sense things that we have to do when we run a village, and the mayor can vouch for that. There are certain things we have to do that our constituents expect of us. Unfortunately, I think those common sense things that we do, Congress has lost its way on. They're too focused on things that are either too far left or too far right. Our infrastructure in this country is failing. Our education systems are failing. Things just aren't going well because they're not focused on the right things. So I was asked to run for this position to take some of those common sense ideas that we use to govern the village of Elburn and then take that to Congress. So my name's Jeff Walter, running for Congress, jeffwalterforcongress.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce, we'll begin the first question with you. Would you support modification of immigration laws that would expand access to legal immigration to the United States? And you have 2 minutes.
As I'm understanding your question, would I expand access to immigration laws so more people could have legally come to the United States? Is that?
Would you support modification of immigration laws that would expand access to legal immigration to the United States?
Yes, I would. America is a nation of immigrants. There's not a person in this room who cannot say that their ancestor or even themselves or their immediate family did not come over here as an immigrant of one way or the other. So I'm in favor of expanding legal immigration in America. As a matter of fact, that's one of the great things about America. We have people all around the world who are they're trying to come to America. We have a wonderful country, we have a wonderful way of life, and people see that. They want to come and join us and be part of that. So yeah, we're the great experiment. Absolutely. I think what we need to do is to make sure that in that we don't make a headlong dash into just simply opening up the floodgates and allowing some disruptive types of ideologies to develop. We need to make sure that when people come to America, and I think this is how that expansion goes, that people need to be able to learn to speak the language. They have a certain amount of time to do this, that they are able to sustain themselves, and it's limited on how many, no child migration, for example. We need to limit that. And I lived in Germany for 25 years. Army took me over there, and so I saw a lot of that over there. And one of the things about those countries over there, they make sure that when people come over, that they learn the language. They have to learn how to reach a certain level of competency in order for them to stay, just to get the residency I'm talking about. They have to pass certain levels of tests. Otherwise, that residency is only for a short time, and then they have to leave. Now, if they do pass the test, then they are allowed to apply for citizenship after a certain number of years. So, yes to expanded legal immigration. Yes to making sure that it's done the right way. And yes to making America a bigger and brighter place and more representative of the diverse economies and peoples of the world.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, would you support modification of immigration laws that would expand access to legal immigration to the United States?
Yes, I would, but with some caveats. So, I talked to a lot of young people who are coming fresh out of college, and they can't find jobs because we have so many folks that are on visas that are taking those jobs that they should be getting. We need to really look closely at that Do we have too many visas coming in every year? I mean, I just left the IT community where it's probably one of the biggest places. These kids are coming out with these computer science degrees and can't find jobs. And that's the biggest complaint I hear when I talk to these young people. So yes, there are areas where we need more people. We can expand into those areas and bring people in to do those jobs, but we really have to look at how those people coming in impact the current jobs, the current workforce that we have going on with us right now. So in a nutshell, yes, but with some reviews and caveats.
And Candidate Brown, would you support modification of immigration laws that would expand access to legal immigration to the United States?
No, I would not. I would not support that, especially at this time with what's going on in our country. We do not know who is here in our country. We need to stop immigration coming in from right now. I say that because if you support that, then you're supporting the Democrats' Dreams Act. That is exactly what that is. And I'm not going to waste your time with this. I do not support that.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, do you think that immigration enforcement officials should use factors such as a person's appearance and spoken language as rationale for stopping and questioning members of the public?
Well, I would hope they don't have to. If we could get these communities to cooperate with ICE when they have ICE detainers and allow one ICE agent to come to the jail to pick up these people, we wouldn't have the problems that we have right now. So with the whole ICE thing right now, yes, there are some processes that might need to be reviewed. I have a police department that works for me. When something untoward happens, we review it, we look at it, we bring outside people to look at it, and we take action. If we have to change a policy, if we have to take some corrective action, we do that. But changing the whole thing is not the way to do this here. We really need to look at how things are running now, follow the laws that we have, get the things done that need to get done, and we wouldn't have half the problems that we're dealing with right now.
Candidate Brown, do you think that immigration enforcement officials should use factors such as a person's appearance and spoken language as rationale for stopping and questioning members of the public?
I don't believe that should happen. I don't believe that is happening right now. So let me just clarify the question. I do not believe that people are getting stopped just based off their color of their skin or who they are. I believe that they have some type of information that is tipping our law enforcement off to actually get them to stop. And a lot of times, either from our experience or what we've seen, and also what I have seen in my own experience, is that if you are here and you are here legal and you have permanent residency, you're supposed to have your information on you at all times. It's just like walking with a driver's license. And if you don't have that information, then they have to go through the proper procedure to make sure that you are who you say you are and you have the actual documents. So a lot of this wouldn't happen if especially a state like ours, which is a sanctuary state, that if the law enforcement is just doing their jobs, if we as the people can put back the power and allow the illegal immigrants to self-deport or go back home, we wouldn't have this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Pierce, do you think that immigration enforcement officials should use factors such as a person's appearance and spoken language as rationale for stopping and questioning members of the public?
It should be part of the factors, of course. If you're looking for somebody who's a Venezuelan, okay, who speaks Spanish and is known as a known gang member, and they're wearing, they've got certain types of traits, like, for example, not traits, but they have tattoos on them or something. And if you see them, I mean, that's common sense, right? So, however, what happens is that we've got two things going on here. You've got the challenge of, are you profiling people just simply based on their race or their look or how they talk? And where can that lead us to? You know, what if the situation was reversed and you're looking for people who are from the South, and this guy's got an accent, so he's got a funny accent. He doesn't sound like people from around here in Illinois, Northern Illinois. So we need to make sure that those are part of what you're looking for, but that's not simply the only thing. You need to make sure you've got all of this. And there are rules of conduct and rules of engagement, which all ICE agents are briefed on. So I think the story that's run wild is people are just only picking people based on how they look or how they talk, and that's just not the fact. Fact is that when they're given a warrant to look for people, they go into a workplace, and if there happen to be 20 people in there who are also illegal, but not necessarily that person, well, then you simply have to, you're trying to find that person, okay? And if everybody runs or if somebody is there illegally and they happen to be there, that's what the law says. So we've got a lot of conflation of issues, and a question like that makes that more difficult because people are thinking, oh, well, if I say yes, that's profiling. No, it's not profiling, it's common sensing. All right. So those are two of the factors, but not the only factors. And we can't let those be the only factors. So we need to make sure we have a fair, and that we go after people with dignity and respect, but also lawfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Brown, we'll begin this question with you. Should protesters be prohibited from exercising their Second Amendment rights while attending public gatherings and rallies?
Well, I believe in my Second Amendment rights. So if I would say, I would say that I believe in my Second Amendment rights and everyone have the rights to bear arms. With that being said, if you are legally able to carry a gun, then you should be able to carry your gun. Regardless, there should be no type of amendment to the Second Amendment at all. And I'll leave it like that.
Candidate Pierce, the same question.
Yeah, I think that we have to respect the Second Amendment. I mean, there have been plenty of gatherings where there's been thousands of people there and they're carrying, they got rifles slung over their shoulder, they're walking around with it. And as a matter of fact, I mean, it was just recently that there was a 9-0 decision by the Supreme Court that says if you take a look at a law and it impedes what the original intent of the founders were at the time, if it was something that was common in the 18th century, in early 18th century, 1700s, right? Then that is the standard that they wrote upon which our document, and it was 9-0. So if you want to have a gathering and there's going to be people carrying, yes. I mean, now there are certain now lawfully there may be some occasions where you say, okay, for safety's sake or some other thing, but Second Amendment says that we are allowed to bear arms, and whether you're in a gathering or not, you have the right to bear arms.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, your thoughts?
And I agree. I think you can. I mean, I also have my concealed carry. The first thing that we have to do, though, when you're carrying and a police officer comes up is identify yourself as someone who has a concealed carry permit and whether you are carrying or not. I think that's where part of the problem comes in. Different states have different rules. But yes, at a function, if it's legal for you to carry, you should be able to carry.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce, what is your position on the SAVE Act?
I think we need to save the SAVE Act. We need to get people out there and vote for it. It's been knuckle dragging for several months now, trying to get people, and it really comes down to: are we going to allow our country to be voted on by people lawfully or not? We need to make sure every person that is out there is able to have the security of knowing that when they go in and they vote, that is a legal and lawful vote. Okay, so they have a voter ID, and that means that in every state that a person, if they go in to vote, that their vote counts. It's counted once. It's one person, one vote. This is basic stuff in other countries. We always compare ourselves to the Europeans. Well, in other countries in Europe, they all go down and they all present an ID when they vote. Remember in Afghanistan, is anybody here who was watching TV like 20 years ago and they talked about the first election in Afghanistan and people were coming out with a big purple thing on the thumb because they voted. That means I voted. I mean, the news. So of course we want to have one person, one vote, and it needs to be a legal person. And how do you do that? Of course, you have to properly register them, but that's not that difficult. You go down to the county and you say, hey, I was born here. If you don't have your birth certificate, most of us have a birth certificate at home, but if you don't, there's many, many ways before an election that a person can lawfully obtain, documentation that they were born here or that they've naturalized citizen and they have the right to vote. If you're not a citizen, you shouldn't vote. It's as simple as that. We need to make sure. Why are we even having this discussion is my question. Why don't they want universal suffrage in this country? Why can't all Americans vote and only Americans? We had some people fight for 150, 200 years before they could get a right to vote. Now it's time to make sure that those people are not being disenfranchised.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, what is your position on the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act should be passed. We should have voter ID. We should know who is voting in our elections. It should not be open to anyone that just walks into the polls. If I want to go to Binny's and buy a bottle of bourbon, I have to show my ID. If I want to get on an airplane, I have to show my ID. I should be showing my ID when I go to vote as well, to show that I am a citizen and I have a legal right to vote.
And Candidate Brown.
I definitely agree with the SAFE Act. That's one thing Congress is doing that our president has, that has actually put something together with us. I say this, and I say this, with grace, that here in the state of Illinois, you already know that our governor passed a law that non-citizens, which are illegal immigrants, can go and get a state ID, and you can use that to actually go, to vote and to register to vote. So with that being said, proof of citizenship as well as voter ID, I think this is the best way to go, that we can take back what is ours, and that is our country. So thank you.
Candidate Walter, we'll begin this question with you. As a member of the United States Congress, do you see yourself having a role in reaching bipartisan consensus?
Yes, we all have to work together. The problem we see now is that the Congress has become so polarized, they don't even want to talk to each other anymore. So yes, we've got to have people in Congress that are willing to work together to move this country forward. And you don't get that done by just yelling at each other. As a mayor, we're all nonpartisan when we're elected, although we all pretty much know very quickly who's on which party and who comes from which positions. And we have to work together. We know when we're talking through things what everybody's position is, and we try to come to a compromise. Typically, when we go to a village vote, I already know how everybody's going to vote because we've talked it through, we've heard everybody's side of the story, and we've come to an agreement together. So yes, you have to work together.
Candidate Brown, as a member of the United States Congress, do you see yourself having a role in reaching bipartisan consensus?
I do see myself having a role. As a former Democrat, until about 11 years ago, when Donald Trump became president, we will have to come to some common ground. But what we will not do is compromise. That's our goal. Whatever we do, compromising with the other party, if it's going to go against our truth and our values as Christians and who we are, then we're going to have to find another way, but we will not fold. So thank you.
And Candidate Pierce.
I feel it's a very important thing, and actually my role, one of the things I think I can bring to the table in this race against is because our common opponent has not been what you call a bridge builder. He's been voted very, very far to the left, and 97, 98% of the time with what the group that they call over the squad and so forth. And I think that building bridges and finding the common ground and the shared values that most Americans have is where we should use that. That is our starting point. We need to work together. We've got some big rock problems to take care of in Illinois right now. And if I was in Congress, the first thing I would do, I would gather with the Illinois State Caucus and say, hey, even though I'm a new guy on here, I've got a lot of experience, got a PhD in organization leadership. Let's work together and build this team. And part of that is to explain the mission, and let's talk about what are the most important things in Illinois. And I can tell you from everybody that I've heard, there's, it's either my taxes are too high and I'm going to move, my kids get out of high school, or my taxes are too high and I can't afford to live here anymore. So what I would do is I would bring people together from both sides of the aisle, and I would work for the common ground. We don't have to compromise our values. We can all stand and have different opinions. But sometimes in life, you have to put the big rocks in the jar first. And what are the big rocks? Our people. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our seniors, our disabled, our people on Social Security. We need to take care of jobs. Jobs need to come back. If you don't have jobs, and the funny thing, our taxes are going up because the jobs are going away. But if we can bring jobs back and we can work together and we can do that as a combined team, a combined joint task force, if you will, that's how we can work together. And that's how I see my role as bringing people together to be the bridge builder to make this a great state again, and to, regardless of whether Democrats or Republicans, because we're all people from the state of Illinois and we love this state.
Thank you. Candidate Brown, this question will begin with you. Do you support raising the retirement age for access to Medicare and Social Security benefits?
No, I do not. I do not support that. I have a mother and an auntie that is that had to well, I'll start with my mom. She's now 77 years old, and she lives in one of my homes because when my father passed, she had to actually get his pension and way before the time, which when she was 62 years of age. So I don't believe that that is the way to go, especially when that is hurting our seniors. That is actually hurting our seniors. So no, it seems as if, and I don't want to get off track, but I just want to put something in you guys' ear. It seems as if we're outliving the retirement age and they're trying their best to find a way on not to release the funds. So we will have to figure that out. So no, I would not.
Candidate Pierce?
Oh, I am absolutely against that. It's great to talk about it until you realize that, once you hit a certain age, all these aches and pains, right? I remember not too long ago, they said 60 is the new 40. Well, when I hit 40, I'm like, And then when I hit 60, I'm like, whoa, this is definitely not 40. So, they want us to think we're living further, but that is not the truth, okay? Everything catches up. There's a reason why at age 62, some people can take early retirement and they choose to because they know they may not have that many years left to them. And there's other people, maybe they choose to go longer. But the important thing is that that we do not renege on what was promised, and that's what they're trying to do. The other thing of that is my mom at age 62 retired early. She got a mere pittance. And the real issue should be all of the rating that's been going on in Social Security and these other programs that are designed for senior citizens, and we've taken that money out of it to fund other programs. We need to stop that. We need to make sure that Social Security is solvent, and we need to make sure that every senior in America, regardless of what their background was, should at least be getting an amount of Social Security that is above the poverty line rather than putting them on a subsistence level the minute that they stop working. Okay, my stepdad had worked till he was 85 years old, not because but in order for him to maintain his independence, he had to continue working. Okay, and you think, as a veteran, as an 85-year-old, they could have given a little bit of something, but no. And there's so many companies that went under, people had pensions, and then they were gone, and they're living hand to mouth. And as my role, when I go to Congress, I will stand up for our senior citizens, stand up to make sure Social Security is solvent, and to make sure that the care that seniors get for their health should be the best in the world, as we owe it to our country, because we are the best country in the world.
Thank you. Candidate Walter?
So I do not support any changes to Social Security for current recipients. That makes absolutely no sense. And, I'm of that age group that got that first change, right? Most people could retire at 65. I've got to go to 67 because I was born in 1960. But we do need to do a complete, very detailed look at our Social Security system. The fund has been borrowed from and taken from over the years, and it's almost like downstate. They built the interstate system with Social Security money, and they never put it back. Those kind of things, we really need to look at. Where did that money go? How can we get it back? What can we do to make the fund more flush? How do we invest better? How do we do better things with it? But I do not support any changes to current recipients, but a real strong analysis of how we fix it and how we keep it solvent.
Candidate Pierce, what should government's response be to the negative impact of tariffs on Illinois farmers?
Okay, this is a great question. I think that the government should definitely be there for our farmers. I mean, the tariffs are part of a carrot and stick approach that we've had to use in order to keep other countries and get them to make fair marketing practices where our products can be open up to other markets. But that doesn't mean that we leave our farmers out in the cold. We need to have some sort of a guarantee of a type of insurance for them to guarantee some of the losses that they will incur as a result of it. We need to be able to open up the aperture so that they can have more diverse types of crops or livestock, for example. And that also includes the trail that goes along with it, not just simply let's go, years ago, Illinois had a lot of meat processing. We have very few plants. In fact, they just closed one in Momence just a few months ago. So every time they close down a meat processing plant, our prices in Illinois go up. for products like that. So, and I was talking to a farmer, and he was said, if they could raise livestock instead of only grow corn or soybeans, then they would be able to, to sell that. But you have to send them up to Wisconsin or to Iowa to get processed. It makes no sense for them. So, like if Johnsonville brats, they moved their processing up to Wisconsin, but they're still selling millions of brats in Illinois. So I would try to bring them back, and I would explain to them, if you want to have a great market in Illinois, then bring it here. And another thing, we tax our businesses out of Illinois. Why don't we encourage the businesses to come to Illinois and maybe give them some tax breaks so that they can come to Illinois and have their work done here to support our farmers? We need to also get into the resources that we have in Illinois so we can drive down the costs that the farmers have. Illinois has lots of resources. We sit on 500 years worth of coal. If we were digging that out of the ground and we were able to lower the power costs across the board, that would also help other areas of the state.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, what should the government's response be to the negative impact of tariffs on Illinois farmers?
Well, with tariffs in general, there are some places that tariffs work very well, but I think we've all realized that free trade is not free, right? We play by the rules, but other countries do not. And they put tariffs on our goods as they're coming in. So we've got to level that playing field in order for all of this to work. So as far as the farmers go, we need to really review what that impact is and see how we fix it. Some tariffs may need to go away. They just need to stop. There may be adjustments that need to be made as far as the funding. I know the president just authorized a large amount of sum to support the farmers. Maybe that's the right answer, but we really need to look at each tariff, how it impacts, what industry it impacts, and where we go. This happened back when I was in the metal industry with steel. They put a lot of tariffs on incoming steel, so those of us that worked with steel were complaining that our prices went up. But it brought a lot of jobs back. It did a lot of good for us at that time. So a good review of everything, where the tariffs are at, how it impacts the farmers, and then providing them the support they need. If that means getting rid of the tariffs, then they have to stop.
And Candidate Brown.
I would say we need their support. While I was on my campaign trail getting petition signatures, I did go by a couple of farmers, and I spoke with them, and they were telling me how heavy the impact was on them, and asking what can we do, for the solutions. And it's crazy because we had no solution at the time. So what our president just implemented with the money for the for the farmers, said that it came from the tariffs money that we should be able to, hopefully and preferably, that will be able to help our farmlands, because we do have a lot, especially in this district. So hopefully they'll be able to help.
Thank you. Candidate Walter, how do you balance party loyalty and the constitutional responsibility of congressional oversight?
Well, the first thing as a congressman, you shouldn't work for anyone but your district, right? Those are the people that put you there. As far as congressional oversight goes, that's an important role in Congress. We have been spending money in this country, giving it to NGOs, not paying attention to where it's going. It's just been an open checkbook, and nobody's looking at it. So Congress needs to really focus on their oversight role, especially with our finances, to try to get our budget back in line, to try to see where this money is going, how it's being spent, and make sure it's going to the right places. So congressional oversight is an incredibly important role, and Congress needs to really step up and start doing it.
Candidate Brown,
Can you repeat the question for me?
how do you balance party loyalty and the constitutional responsibility of congressional oversight?
Well, when you think about party loyalty, this is what we're having right now in Congress. If everyone's watching, we have some Republicans that are not doing their job, what they were actually sworn in to do when it comes down to us as Republicans. Do your duty. Do what you were put in office to do, and that is to serve the people. When it comes down to congressional, and that means no compromising. That's the thing. If you do feel like you need to compromise, then I think you need to resign, give your seat up. Anytime it comes to a problem where you have to double check and think twice on something that you know needs to happen in order to save our country, then it's time for you to let that seat go. And when you talk about congressional oversight, our job in Congress is to balance the budget. That is our job. We have to realize what our job is when we're out here, trying to run for office. We need to figure out, it's not that someone, someone comes to you and say, can you run for office? No. Do you understand your duty? Do you understand what your job is going to be? Do you understand what you're going to be sworn in to do? And that is one of our jobs. That is one of our duties, is to make sure that the budget is balanced.
Thank you. And Candidate Pierce, how do you balance party loyalty and the constitutional responsibility of congressional oversight?
Well, party loyalty only goes so far. Okay, I'm an American. All right, I am there on behalf of the people of this district, the state of Illinois. Okay, and our country. All right, so that's where that ends. Now, if there's policies that are going to be in place that are not in support of one of those three categories, then there's going to be that to me, and it crosses that line. Then I would speak up, and I would certainly work with members of my caucus, of course. But at the end of the day, I'm going to support what I feel are in line with the values of our community that voted me in there. As far as the responsibility of the oversight of Congress, that is one of the main reasons I'm running. Let me tell you about a young man that I knew who was deployed like 2 weeks, or I guess 3 weeks after he got married. He went to Afghanistan, and we saw what a mess up that was, right? And this is a person who spent several years in the military. They joined in the military. They said, hey, you have 5 hours. Say goodbye to your new bride. You're going to Afghanistan. Okay, and look at that. There's no accountability. So that is a real life example. That was my son. He went there. Okay, so when I talk about accountability and why I'm doing this, that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. I want accountability. When you send people to a war zone without the proper ammunition, okay, that needs to be some accountability to that. People can't just walk scot-free. The money that's gone down the drain with the USAID, the money that's gone, across this country that has gone to waste, whether it's in Minnesota, whether it's in California, New York, or Chicago, there has to be accountability. That's where the Congress needs to haul people in and have hearings about that and ask them, have you been or have you ever were part of some, whatever group that is trying to take money out of our country and fund terrorist groups, or, setting up fake businesses, or whatever you have it. That is the role of Congress. That's among the many roles, but that's a very important role. So that's where I stand on that.
Thank you. Candidate Brown, what do you believe is the path forward regarding access to health care in the United States?
Well, I will say this. I'm sorry, can you guys say? Okay, there you go. I'm sorry. I would say that we know right now that healthcare is not affordable. It's skyrocketed crazy. Again, our president has introduced where he's going to give the money back to the people so we can have the choice to choose our own health care. Right now, and I'll say it again, that we're limited right now on which health care plan we need. But you have to choose in order for you to actually make sure you have health care. So we're going to have to find some strategy that will give the American people back their transparency to be able to find their healthcare provider, their independence, on their own. If we can do that, I think that will help us, and especially, get rid of this the Affordable Care Act. We definitely need to get rid of that. We need to find a strategy that is going to be for the people. And this is another reason why we need you, the people, we need your input. We need seniors.
Excuse me.
Okay, well, that's fine.
No, please.
No problem.
We're here. Excuse me. We're here to listen. Thank you. We're here to listen. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Let her talk.
Are you finished with your answer? No, we really want to hear your thoughts and ideas, not theirs. They can speak to you afterwards.
Yeah.
So have you finished with your answer, or please continue?
That's fine. So yes, that's exactly what I want to say. What our president actually has introduced is what we need to give it back to the people. And I stand on that truth.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we need to have, we need to have a free and open market. Back in 1969, I was in a hospital in New Hampshire. I had pneumonia and chicken pox and a swollen finger. And I remember being in that for 3 or 4 days, and they burned my blankie and my little dog, and I was so sad. And it only cost like $150, right? And now if I had one of my granddaughters was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, it'd be like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and who knows what else. Healthcare costs have gone astronomically out of control and make it unaffordable for people. We want everybody to have health care in America, but it should be affordable, and it should be done with smarts, and it should not be done with a lot of waste, which is what has happened. Many people who've been studying these issues know that this act was thrown together, and it was in the benefit of certain medical groups and certain types of big insurance and certain types of pharmaceutical companies. That's a known fact. I've heard many people discuss it. What we need to do is, take a look at that. For the people who are on fixed incomes, they receive certain types of Medicaid, okay? But we need to make sure is that we have an open marketplace to drive the cost down, that we stop subsidizing these insurance companies who's making insane profits. And it's just, it's terrible what they've done, because there's so many people who are left with just marginal health care. We want to fix health care, not give everybody, if you don't want to give everybody just a Band-Aid, because not everybody needs just a Band-Aid, but we want to make it fair, and we got to make it affordable. And you can't make it affordable if companies are making huge amounts of money for their shareholders. Meanwhile, people across the country are dying because they can't get proper care because of suites of products that people bid to bid through a contract, and then the government gives them the contract, and then people are left out in the cold because they can't have a choice of doctor in their hometown or state. We need to give them choice, we need an open marketplace, and we need to stand on principle, and we need to go after those who are gouging and stealing from our people.
Candidate Walter.
So I think the first thing we need to focus on to get the cost of healthcare down is getting Americans healthy, right? We eat more junk, we have more junk in our food, more chemicals, and these things have to stop first. So that's the first focus if you want to bring the cost of healthcare down. As far as the Affordable Care Act goes, I was working at Healthcare Service Corporation when the Affordable Care Act was passed. Well, Healthcare Service Corporation, for those of you that don't know, is Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois and several other states. We invested millions of dollars into getting our systems ready for the single-payer insurance for the Affordable Care Act because we knew we were going to make a ton of money on it, and that's just what they've done. The Affordable Care Act has made money for insurance companies and hasn't helped the people that have the insurance in any way, shape, or form. And our insurance companies, we need more competition between our insurance companies. Right now, insurance companies can only compete in the states they're licensed in. They can't go across state lines. That should change. Like any business, when you have more competition, it drives the prices down. So that's another thing we could do to help that as well. And then, of course, there's the health savings account. If we can get that money that people would be using to pay for, the subsidies and these outrageous prices they're paying for insurance, and give it to the people directly and let them control where their money goes and how they spend it, fund it into their healthcare savings account, let them pick their provider, let them pick their insurance plan, and pay for it with that money rather than making the insurance companies wealthier than they already are.
Thank you. We're going to shift gears a little bit. And we'll begin with candidate Pierce. Should there be incentives to convert to electric vehicles in the United States, or do you favor continued or increased use of fossil fuels to power our automobiles, trucks, and other vehicles?
No, there should not be incentives in the marketplace for the electric vehicles or many other products that are out there as part of the new technologies that seem to benefit only a small group of people and which are unaffordable for the regular person. One of the things that people have done, I've noticed that they put taxes on gasoline, for example, and people in this state, in fact, in this county, they just recently added another tax, added to the tax that was already pre-existing that the state had. And the people who drive your regular cars, they have to drive a long way to work, and some people have to go a long way because they want to find a job, they want to eke out a good existence, and yet we're taxing them and we're penalizing them because they can't afford these very, very expensive vehicles. And if you subsidize them, like the $875 million that Governor Pritzker put into Rivian, okay, you're just taking that away from our roads and other things, and making vehicles that most people can't afford. So it's turned into a favorite, and it's picking winners and losers, and at the end of the day, if people don't like it, then they're not going to buy it, and no matter how much you subsidize it. And we certainly tried that multiple times. Of course, we remember the whole debacle with the $500 million with the Solarian debacle several years ago. So picking winners and choosers, choosing winners and losers in the marketplace is not the role of the government. It doesn't say that in the Constitution. That's why a lot of people say, there's a lot of common sense in the Constitution. It served us very well for, a little under 250 years, 240-ish years, So there's a lot to be said there. So let's go after, common sense. Let the market dictate it. As far as polluting the air, which a lot of people jump on, and use of fossil fuels, Illinois imports $3.5 billion worth of coal every year, all right, from Wyoming. And by the way, they're strip mining it. Illinois digs its coal out of the ground, and we've prevented our own state from being able to fund itself because we're not digging our own coal. So I think we need to dig our own coal, use our own resources, and stop sending our money out of state and then make money for this state.
Thank you. Candidate Walter?
No, I don't believe we should incentivize purchasing of electrical vehicles. I think that's something the government jumped in way too fast without doing the research, and now local municipalities and local communities are having to pay the price for it. We recently had to increase our towing fee significantly because now the tow truck drivers have to carry a blanket. So whenever there's a fire in one of these electrical vehicles, they have to cover it with that blanket, or when they store it, it has to be covered because that fire can't be put out. So there's a lot of issues that we weren't looking at when we jumped into this, which is typical when the government gets involved in this kind of stuff. They also didn't look at battery storage. What happens to the batteries afterwards? They can't be reused. If you take a gas vehicle, you can melt it down and take that steel and build another vehicle with it. You can't do that with the batteries. Now, hopefully the marketplace will come up with a way to deal with that. Same with solar panels and other green energy things, but they haven't yet. So right now, we're just storing these things. So, and then you also have to look at, where does our electricity come from? These electric vehicles that get charged, it's not like some magic fairy just plugs it in and says, here's your power. That power has to come from some plant somewhere, whether it's nuclear, coal, or somewhere. It's still coming from somewhere that's producing electricity to run that vehicle. So no, I do not see any benefit to incentivizing the sale or purchase of an electric vehicle.
And Candidate Brown?
No, I do not. I believe as a parent that has a child that actually has an electric vehicle, I believe it was just designed to, it's like a mind thing that they have created to make it seem like this is the best. You're going to save here. You're going to save there. You're going to do this. The cars is cheaper. Anyone that has an electric vehicle knows that there's a process with maintaining the electric vehicle. There's a process for making sure that you have the actual, what is it called? The ESV, inside of the home to make sure that, it's being charged the right way in your garage. It was all to me is just like a scam. And because if you're traveling and your vehicle is not charged, then you have to find somewhere to charge it. They just make it seem like it is the best thing ever when it is not. It is something that the government put together to manipulate the minds of younger people and older people. And I just don't believe in it. No.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, madam, there'll be a chance to talk to the candidates at the end of the forum. Thank you. We're going to switch gears once again to foreign affairs now. Do you believe that NATO has outlived its usefulness? Does the United States have an interest in having a free Ukraine exist? And we'll begin with candidate Walter.
I don't believe NATO has outlived its usefulness, but I think NATO could use a lot of reworking, right? I think everyone in NATO needs to pay their fair share, which they haven't been doing for years. We have subsidized the defense of Europe for many, many years as the largest contributor to NATO. Does Europe need to be defended? Obviously, as we see with what's going on right now, there are bad actors in the world that want to take over other countries, and that needs to be defended against. So has NATO outlived its usefulness? No, I think the concept is there, but there's definitely some work needed in how it's funded. I mean, these European countries have relied on us so much. They have great economies going because they're not kicking in their fair share, while we, in the meantime, are struggling over here and paying for those things. So, no, I don't believe it should be going away, but it definitely needs to be reworked.
And candidate Brown, your thoughts?
I did do a little research on NATO, and I will say that NATO needs to pay up like every other country. And I'll say that we as the United States, over our foreign policies, is that we need to observe our spending and who we're sending our money to. We need to make sure that we're keeping our hands in our own pockets and not just overspending and sending money over to these foreign countries. So I'll leave it like that.
And Candidate Pierce.
No, NATO has not outlived its usefulness, although it does need fine tuning. We need to we need to understand that the Europeans do need to have a loose structure that's led by the United States to ensure that they're continuing to maintain certain standards. And also for our own national interest, we have an interest over there with Europe to make sure that we have eyes on and an ability to monitor and participate in actions that are ongoing. If we did not have that formal relationship, it would be much, much more difficult. So yes, we're providing the bulk of the funds to it, but that has been something that's been part and parcel to it throughout the Cold War. But they have not been paying up their fair share. They laughed at Donald Trump when he told them several years ago they needed to, and now they're starting to come up to their fair share, although not as much. And of course, you notice the countries that are right next to Russia have definitely decided to start paying their fair share. I'll note that. As far as your second part of your question was about a free Ukraine, the answer is yes, there should be a free Ukraine. As a matter of fact, the Ukrainians have been fighting, for years now, this last several years in particular, a bloody, bloody war. But let me give you a little perspective here, and I just brought up this statistic yesterday, but, the Russians have lost 1.2 million soldiers in just trying to fight for the little bit of ground that they've gotten in Ukraine. The Ukrainians have lost about 55,000. Just in the last 4 months alone, they've had 25,000, 26,000, 35,000, and 30,000 people lost in there. That's the Russians, with 1.2 million dead, but they're not going to give up until they've completely capitulated. And that depends on the price of oil, but as long as the Europeans are buying that oil, they're going to be in trouble because they're helping to support that war. So Ukraine should be free. We need to continue supporting them, but we need to do that, make sure there's accountability at all levels, and we need to make sure that the U.S. is always watching out for its interest and keeping a foothold in Europe in terms of, so we can react along with the development of the issues that come up over there.
Thank you. Candidate Brown, do you support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
What I can say, can you repeat the question one more time?
Do you support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
I will say that I support the covenant that the United States agreed and committed to before. And we need to do not break that covenant, and we need to just pray for our countries. I'll leave it at that.
Candidate Pierce, do you support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
I think that's really up to the Israelis and the Palestinians to work it out amongst themselves. Our role in Israel and the Middle East is obviously there's a strategic role for the United States in the Middle East. But the issue between the Palestinians and the Israelis, at the end of the day, is going to come down to between them. Until there's a moment where the Palestinians or whoever leads the Palestinians decides that they want to make peace with the Israelis, it may be that they can come to a situation where there's a two-state solution. Right now, that's not going to be a viable situation. They've actually been offered 96% multiple times of what they, time after time after time, they've been offered a state and they've rejected it. So until they change their tone on Israel, I cannot see and I cannot support a two-state solution. Once there is somebody to negotiate with who is negotiating in good faith and is willing to make peace with the Israelis, then we can talk about that. But it's premature to say I support a two-state solution. You can't support a two-state solution unless there's two states. And the reason the Israelis were able to get together is because they had different factions. They got together and they pulled themselves together and they worked together and they were able to put themselves together into a state. So that's why they were able to emerge. And let's not forget that the Israelis are the only democratic state in the Middle East. They're the only state in the Middle East which allows LGBTQ rights. They're the only state that is like a Western democracy. They've got over 700,000 Americans living in the state of Israel. They are a military powerhouse, economically importantly vital to the United States. And they've certainly fought for their freedom time after time after time. time. So again, if they have a good partner to negotiate with, and if the partner negotiates in good faith, I see good things happening. But until that time, you cannot even talk about a two-state solution. Thank you.
And candidate Walter.
At this time, I do not support a two-state solution because the Palestinians won't commit to certain things that are needed for a two-state solution. Number one, they have to commit to not supporting terrorism or funding terrorism anymore. They will not do that. Number two, they need to commit to allowing Israel to exist as it is. They have not done that, nor will they do that. They need to stop the aggression in Israel and against other countries. The Palestinians have not agreed to do that either. And they also need to agree to a democratic government in that second state, and they won't agree to that either. They want to keep their government the way it is, run by terrorists. So no, at this time, there's not a lot of hope for a two-state solution.
Thank you. Well, I have a multitude of questions left to ask, but I'm afraid our time has elapsed together. So I hope everyone gets an opportunity to speak to you and ask their questions and get the answers that they would like to know before they go vote. So it's time for closing statements, and we'll begin with candidate Pierce. You have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I just, many years ago, when I was a kid, growing up in Elgin, and we lived out on a little farm. Lived there a short time, and now I think it's a subdivision. The world has changed so much in that 50 years since I was that little kid running along with my little cat, falling around and found a foxhole. This area has changed. This district runs from rural roots to urban roots. It runs from people of very affluent means to people who are blue collar to people of different ethnic backgrounds. And the main thing is that we're all Americans. That's what binds this district together. The Democrats tried to put together a gerrymandered district of people of disparate views and backgrounds, et cetera, so they could weaken people who are Republicans and conservatives and Americans of all faiths and values. But all of us love our children, or most of us. Most of us would like to see our children have a job and stay here in Illinois. Most of us would like to have lower taxes and have good health care. We want to have good things in our country, and I want good things for our country too. If I get elected, I'm not going to take a salary. I'm going to go and I'm running for Congress as a servant leader, okay? I'm proud to lead. I led that in the Army. I went from an enlisted guy to an officer. I had multiple company commands. I founded a nonprofit organization. I've been chapter presidents of multiple nonprofit organizations. I'm doing this because I believe in our country. I'm a self-funded candidate. I care about our country. I'm asking for your vote and your support because I am someone who's trustworthy, honest, loyal, helpful, courteous, kind, courteous, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, reverent. And I used to be a Boy Scout, and I believe in honoring the family. I am a man of faith, and I support what America is, a bright, shining light on a hill far away, and we are that bright, shining light, and every one of us can be that light. And I love this country, and I love the people of this country, and I love you too, ma'am. Thank you.
Candidate Walter, your 2-minute closing statement.
Did he get all the things from the Boy Scout oath in there? Did you get them all? I think
Yes, I did.
so.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
I don't remember it that well, so congratulations, Mike. Good job. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got a chance to listen to us. And now it's time for you all to do your homework, right? On March 17th, there's going to be a one-question quiz. Who's going to get the Republican nomination? So I ask you to go out and do your homework. Research the candidates. See which one of us has experience, see what we've done, see what our career paths look like, see how we've served the public before, and just take a look at all the things that go into making a candidate and making a good congressman. Take a look at our endorsements, see who's endorsed us. There are a lot of different things that all of us have going for us, but you really need to do your research, make your decision, and then and please get out and vote. I know we're probably preaching to the choir here, but you've got to talk to your friends. You've got to get everybody out to vote. The voter turnout, I'm going to tell you this, when I ran for mayor the last time, it took me 2 signatures to get on the ballot. 2. Because only 150 people voted in the mayoral election prior to that. What does that say about us and how much we care about our country, right? Politics is not, and government is not it's a participatory sport. You can't sit on the couch and watch it happen to you, because then when you're complaining, you've got no right to complain because you didn't get out and vote. So please, please, please get out and vote in March and get back in November and do it again. Again, thank you all for coming out. It's Jeff Walter for Congress.com. Check us out. You'll see all about my positions and my endorsements and all those other things there, and have a wonderful evening.
And Candidate Brown, your 2-minute closing statement.
Yes, ma'am. Again, my name is Tidora Brown, and I would like to thank you all for coming today. You didn't have to show up, but that shows your patriotism for our country, for this district. And I want to let you guys know that I am willing to fight for this district, not only for this district, but for our state. We are all Illinoisans here, and we need to save our state. We cannot let our state go up into flames. People already know that it's already up there. We know that, but we need to do the right thing. And on March 17th, because we've already started early voting, I need you guys to go and pick the person that we know that can take on the incumbent. All of us that's up here right now, we're all headed for one goal, and that is to take the seat, whether it's Mike, Jeff, or myself. But we need true patriots that have the strength, the tenacity, that can actually take down the Democrat machine. We all know that it's hard to do that because we're outnumbered by the Democrats. However, we need to get those crossover votes. We need to be able to go out there and inform everyone, independent, Democrats, Republicans, why we are here and why we have stepped up to be public servants, because we are all community builders. No, I don't have a lot of endorsements. Of course not. Some I've actually decided not to take because I don't believe in them, even if they think they believe in me. But I do have the endorsement of the Chicago Flips Red Group, which is a new organization like myself as a first-time candidate that is willing to put our life and everything that we have on the line to get what we need, and that is to take our seat. So when you guys go to the polls and when you guys do your early voting, just think about who can take on Bill Foster. That guy's been in office for 13 years, only passed 3 bills, and those 3 bills were just renaming the daggone post office, and only one was in this district, which was in Aurora. That is absolutely disrespectful to our district. We need a representative that can actually go in and fight for us. Thank you. My name is Tidora Brown, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. On behalf of the community, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you will vote and inspire your family and friends and neighbors to do the same on March 17th. Information on how and when to vote can be found on vote411.org and the Central Kane County League of Women Voters website and social media. Recording of this forum for Republican candidates for Illinois 11th Congressional District will be found on the Central Kane County League of Women Voters website and the Batavia Access Television. And I'll turn the meeting back over to Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Moderator Lymans. So as we wrap up tonight, thank you to our candidates for your participation and to the audience for your thoughtful engagement. Your presence reflects the importance of civic involvement and informed decision-making in our community. If your question was not asked, we encourage you to reach out directly to the candidates and continue to ask questions. Stay engaged leading up to the election. Remember, your vote is your voice. A special thank you to Batavia City Hall, all of our volunteers, and everyone who made this forum possible. We hope that tonight's discussion helps you make informed choices on or before Election Day. Early voting began on February 5th, and Election Day is March 17th. For more information, please visit the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County website and the Kane County Clerk's website. Thank you for being here. Please travel home safely and continue the conversations that only strengthen our community. And let's give a round of applause for all of our candidates. Thank you.
Thank you so much.